Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ugly Duck Society podcast, episode number 6, where we get to speak with the lovely Mike.
Hey, lovely. AKA is Multichain Mike.
Multichain Mike. How did you become Multichain Mike? How did that name start spreading around within the NFT community? Because I know I've heard of you before. I know they have too. So
it started. I mean, I like diversity in all kinds of ways, right? Like when I was in my 20s, my sister was like, "You need to get out of this country, get out of this area." And I bought a one-way ticket to Australia. And then realized really quickly how ignorant I was of the rest of the world. I got to meet people from all over, and it's been like, okay, you don't know anything until you go somewhere, right? And I started messing around on Ethereum, Bitcoin initially, and everyone at Bitcoin would just trash Ethereum and be like, it's garbage. And then I went to Ethereum, like, oh, it's actually kind of cool over here. And then I went to Solana, and people on Ethereum like, oh, Solana's garbage, man. It's like, oh, it's actually kind of cool over here. It's like, oh, have you ever been to that country? Have you ever been to that chain? Have you ever interacted with it? No, but it's the same thing. And so I just got kind of addicted to traveling in my 20s, and I got addicted to going to different chains and different communities now. And so when people are like, oh, you're really into Sol, I'm like, yeah, I'm into Solana, but I'm also really into Stacks. I'm really into Ethereum. I'm really into Terra right now. So it just kind of stuck. Someone's called it Multichain Mike. And
Who gave you that nickname?
TJ Stone likes to think he gave me that nickname.
Because he told me to ask you that question.
No, it kind of came up as somebody we were going to do this situation with Solana. It didn't work out. And I'm like, man, I'm just going to be Multichain Mike from now on because of that. And then it just stuck. So it was kind of...
It's catchy.
It's got some alliteration, you know what I mean? It's a vibe. Like Mike Fry, I was like, oh, no one remembers that.
Right.
Right. You know, it's a lot of this is branding. It's just like, all right, people remember that. So I'm wrong with it.
That's interesting though. You mentioned that because of your traveling. Do you look at Ethereum, Solana, the way you look at different nations? Really?
Yeah.
Really? That's cool.
Sure.
I've never heard that analogy before. I would never even think of it. So what made you think of that as the analogy with them?
It's just natural, right? It's just people doing stuff, and it was just complete ignorance, right? It's just like, you ever that person that's never left their hometown? It's like, oh man, Venezuela sucks, or China sucks.
Yeah.
Have you been there? Like, no, I never left. This suburb. It's like, dude, you're get out there. And I was starting to hear the same vibes on Twitter Spaces, and people I'm like, oh wait, what they're saying is completely false, and they're brilliant. Brilliant people are saying really ignorant things about other chains, and I'm like, this just sounds like the people who've never gone somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I kind of just went with that, and people are like, oh, yeah, it makes little sense. But it's also they're citizens a little bit, right? So
yeah, they have their own community.
Yeah,
they have their own people in each section going, making art with NFTs. That's such a great analogy.
I remember we were talking, us three, Glitch, at Crypto Mondays. You gave me an analogy.
Okay.
I don't know if you could reiterate that analogy. We was asking you, what chain should we launch the Ugly Ducks on?
Mm-hmm.
And you said, well, if you build in Ethereum, it's like you're building a restaurant in New York City. And then I forgot the rest of it. But it was a really dope analogy if you could.
Yeah, I guess it's where your audience is, right? What kind of demographic are you going after, right? So yeah, if you're, in my opinion, right now, and I can go on a lot of chains, but Solana right now is, I think, young and diverse compared to Ethereum.
Mm-hmm. So what city would that be, Solana?
I feel like.
Or is that an age group, Gen Z?
No, I know where you're going. It's kind of, I don't want to. It's not as cool as a Fort Greene used to be or something like that. You know what I mean? It's diverse, but it's also kind of corporate a little bit. You know what I mean? It's definitely people knock it as venture capitalist back, which I actually don't think is that it's debatable. So it's a little glitzy too. They've got a lot of money thrown around, huge parties and stuff like that. So it's definitely not grimy. You know what I mean? It's hard to say, but I would definitely think about different places.
If New York was Ethereum, Solana would be.
I don't think New York's Ethereum. That's the thing.
What do you
Yeah.
think?
That's what you told me at Crypto. You know what? I'm
What
gonna
do you
stop.
think?
That's what you told me.
I would have said Miami is Ethereum or something like that.
Okay. All right.
So what's New York?
And so
It's like I think you a little more about money there. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
and then Solana would be.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know if I don't remember this.
No, remember if we was
Yeah, we was.
You know,
Good.
yeah.
It was dope though, man. You gotta remember that metaphor and
I
bring
think you
it
made
back.
it up after I said some things. Yeah, you gotta remember it.
Well, with your traveling and your experience in other regions and other places of the world, what would you say about an NFT dropping out of New York City? I feel like it's not really known to drop out of a state like this. What do you
Yeah, 'cause
think?
we're kind of in like, the ugly duck society. We're known for
Yeah.
New York
Yeah,
right
it's-
now.
it's
It's
we're-
a
like
big
we're
part of us.
100% New York blood.
I would focus on New York. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
to me, the best communities I'm in right now, the NFT projects are things that I like really am into.
Mhm.
And I'm into New York, so like I should consider this, right?
Mhm.
So like I would not worry about that. Like there's enough people here, and there's enough people about to onboard in the
Yeah.
next
Right.
year. So like
right.
it's suddenly then all at once.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm around in 2008, 9, and like I'm going even before that. I'm like, every company, every person is gonna be a publisher.
Yep.
What does that mean? I'm never gonna have a magazine. I'm never gonna have everyone in the world is never gonna be able to read what I say.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, okay, this Twitter thing, nobody cares what I have for lunch. I'm never going to get a social media account. Nobody cares what I eat. And I even remember before that, aged myself a little bit. I'm never getting a cell phone. No one needs to know where I'm at all times.
That's true.
We always draw these lines in the sand.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, it's the same kind of thing. Like, I don't need NFTs. And now it's like, that's for the crypto people. It's like,
Mhm.
Now,
no. This is like,
Yeah.
this is for our kids, man. This is like the world they're going to live in.
Yep.
And it's a lot easier, a lot simpler
Yep.
if you're organized on chain.
Mhm.
So it's
a lot
coming.
easier,
It's
a lot
suddenly
simpler.
then all at once. And I can feel it coming. The
Yeah.
corporations are coming. They're starting to hit me up to like, oh, can we pick your brain for this?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's starting to happen. Yep.
It's happening every day. So.
Yeah. And another thing, that same day when we was talking to him, that it was very interesting because it's like it's sort of like you predicted and stuff now, Mike, because he said that NFTs will soon be called social coins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many people? He's the first person I heard say
Yeah,
that,
we
and now
started hearing people
everybody
say
is
it.
saying that. I'm like, I told
Crazy.
you that. I think you took that from me because I told you that because my friend Mike said that. So, so
Social
why do you?
tokens.
Yeah. So why do you call Why do you call it social tokens? Why
And do you
would it be
remember
called
saying
so?
that?
I do remember
Yeah,
saying
okay,
that.
all right.
Yeah. And I don't remember. I'm sure I heard it from somebody else. I don't think
Yeah.
I came up with it or anything.
Right. But why is that? Why do you feel that? Why do you feel
Yeah.
that they're going to be called social tokens? Why?
And I don't feel like all of them are. So I think NFTs can be broad, but the reason why social tokens makes a lot of sense. Let's go back centuries. Like we're probably all in somewhat of a religious group on the weekends.
Right.
And we've got our social community that we all have this common theme that we've like bought into. Whether that's our time, it could be a church or whatever it might be. And we kind of got away from that last couple of generations. And then you think about your social circles when you grow, right? You have your high school squad, maybe your college, your first job. You know what I mean? Like there's certain things you might be into. And then like what happens? Even with kids, it's like you're kind of forced a little bit. You didn't
Right.
choose to be with those other kids in your school, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of hard. So now I'm part of, there's like 3 social tokens, I'll call them. They're NFTs that are, one's the Monkey DAO, which is all entrepreneurs, developers, people building on Solana. That's my people. That's who we chat all day. I can chat with them all day long.
Right.
And that's a social token. I grew up playing golf with my dad a lot. And like, there's the Lynx DAO. We're buying a golf course. And like, so I bought into that NFT project. We all played in Austin a couple weeks ago. And it's like, dude, you could get 100 people to go meet some town. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to sign up for that. But I
Right.
did. Why did I?
Right.
Because I bought this social token where we all invested and we all bought something. When I saw them, it's like man hugs. We've never met before in person. Like we've chatted before. It's
Right.
like someone I
Wow.
see with like, I'm from Philly, so I see an Eagles hat or something like that, or Sixers hat. That's my squad.
Right.
It's the same
Or
thing.
like having the
Same thing.
Tesla, how that guy acted
Right.
with
Yeah,
you
yeah,
the
right.
Tesla.
Right.
Yeah.
He had to stop and tell him, hey, this damn Tesla, the charger.
Yeah. Like, why are you telling me for? Because now we're in the same community because
Right.
we both have a Tesla. It is a community.
And you bought something, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
And we're a team now. Now we're all a team because we have the same thing that we invested in.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I never looked at it like that. So that's very educational. I think that's the most educational piece in the 6 episodes that we've done because I just learned something there. The way that he explained it, it's like, wow, I never thought of that.
Can I see a few of your like favorite NFTs that you have?
Oh.
Is it on your shirt?
I mean, the sun didn't look right there
Yeah.
anyway. You know?
Oh.
I'm always trying to Just in case this moment came up.
Y'all know what that is?
That's the Monkey DAO, which I'm also
Monkey
representing on my
DAO,
phone too, right? Like, so the Monkey DAO is.
Do the QR code on the side too, Kim.
I mean, you can buy the shirt, but
The Monkey DAO. How long have you been a proud member of the Monkey DAO?
since September, early September, maybe late August last year, and it was the first DAO I bought into, and then I became a board member. It was elections in December, and so I'm on the board for 3, and there's elections right now. I'm not hit F on Discord if you're in the Monkey DAO. Multichain Mark. That's under a board member for 3 months, and we have it's a great community. We have a shared treasury. We invest in different things, and we have different programs, and we're kind of we're the leaders, I think, in the Solana ecosystem. It's the first DAO and the first NFT ever on Solana.
Wow.
So we're the OGs of it,
Wow.
and it's all the big brains. Like if you've got a project on Solana, I'm like, you've got to be in the Monkey DAO.
Yeah.
And it's just like popped off the last couple of weeks, specifically on all the work we've been doing. So, and we meet up too, right? So I've had Monkey DAO meetups in Lisbon, Miami, Denver, Salt Lake, Chicago. Another one we have next week in Miami. So this is my squad, right? Like this is this is one of my favorite ones. And going back to this social tokens, right? So in my 20s, I played Australian rules football. So I played for the Denver Bulldogs, and we traveled 3 times a year, different cities. Again, sunken costs, like we play the sport. And then in my 30s, I played for the New York Magpies, same thing. But now I'm like breaking my finger when I go, embarrassing myself. I'm in my 40s. And this has become my new decade social
Yes.
Wow.
community.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell it for $1 million.
Nope.
Like, it's not like, what am I going to do? Like, this is worth way more to that in me. It's like, would you sell your church membership, like where you grew up with, or something like that? Or,
No.
so that's why the social token really comes into play, in that it's not only social online, it's also social in person. And that's what I like. And I think Monkey DAO is really good at, like, we've been doing the IRL events a lot the last 6 months, unlike everybody else.
In real time is IRL, y'all.
No,
Just
it's-
let y'all know.
In real life.
In real life,
Yeah.
right. And also another thing that he said, like, if you understand, he said he wanted to sell it for, $1 million. So when you're buying into NFTs, try to buy more than one if you really like that
I
project.
wish I bought
Or if
more
you're going to be becoming a part of that project, buy more than one. So you can
Keep
sell
one
it.
for
Keep
yourself.
one for yourself.
Yeah.
And sell the other ones to make
Yeah.
a profit.
There's like 3. Should probably do 3.
Yeah,
But,
get at least 3 of them, right?
I never do that.
Right.
And don't forget to say the ugly ducks. We do a lot of IRL in real life
Yeah.
utilities.
So we have real life utilities.
Yeah.
We're doing a $100,000 contest. Make sure y'all sign up for that. It's 10 girls, $10,000 each girl, 10 contracts,
Yep.
$100,000, and we
All
definitely giving it
together.
away. That's the fun part.
Yeah, that's
Woo!
Yeah.
That's gonna be-
That's fun.
So that's it too, right? So we're 2 years into COVID, and people are like, don't have social communities that they've been connecting to that they used to
Yeah,
have.
they just were like,
Exactly.
everyone was like alone, like
Wow.
refining themselves, and
What a
then
great
NFT
time.
like really
Yeah.
took
That's
off.
crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what was your
Right.
experience like
Right.
with the DAOs and transitioning from crypto and NFTs into DAOs?
I mean, it was at and again, having kids, it's like hard to meet up, right? You know what I mean? But like at these times, like, your friends were, right? Last couple of years, like, if you reach out in like 6 months through
Yeah.
COVID, like,
Yeah.
how close really were you? You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then like, you have an opportunity now for someone with a shared interest doing something that you do or is interested in you, and that's what's dope about this. And that's what's like, and the more in real life stuff you do, I think the better. The more you're going to bring your squads together.
Yeah.
It's like, these are the memories you make. These are the.
Word.
It's almost like they need it too. It sounds like.
Oh, we need it. We're social creatures. Like, there's no doubt about it. We all got fucked up over the last couple of years.
Right.
Like, going through this stuff, and like this to me has been my personal antidote of being like, wow, I've got a new crew to hang out with, you know.
Yeah.
Another one of our utilities for the Ugly Duck is an app that we have called My Virtual Friend Forever, and it sounds like exactly like what you're saying, a social token, because it's allowing those who have like maybe like a little social awkwardness to them, or you know, might be a little bit lonelier than others, to be able to connect with other people, or even almost create their own character, which is supposed to be a real human still, and be able to communicate with them. That's like actually an app that we're gonna.
I think it's really important for a lot of people, right? Like I've been on the train of I was in the social media guy, being like, you know, be yourself, be your representation, and put your profile picture up, you know, like you do on LinkedIn, that kind of thing. And I think a lot of people like, I don't really feel comfortable with sharing myself and how I look and all that, and like, you know, having this little dope monkey that they're like representing. I think that's cool. I think a lot of people, you don't know who, you don't know their gender. You don't know the race, you don't know anything. You're like, I get down, like, you know, that's all we are. And we just judge right away. I'll float. So I'm like, I got some preconceived notions.
It's like beauty is not a beholder, right? Like you respect them because they were smart enough to know the value in that little monkey or that little piece of art.
Right.
Or they're also into golf or whatever it is.
Right.
Right.
Doesn't matter how you look.
I just want to go left real quick. Ask you a quick question, right? I know you have something called Kid Folio.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to know what that was about, because that could be helpful to a lot of people from what I read about.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little pause. I'll still talk about it. Real quick, I do want to jump on one thing. I'm going to Miami next week, and today, we were on his autogram, and I'm like, the hotels are outrageous right now. So
I'm staying in a hostel.
Airbnb. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
All right, I like it. 3 of us went in on Airbnb, and I never met the one guy at all. I have no idea what he looks like. So going back to like,
you just trust.
I have no idea. Just because he owns another monkey, I'm staying and sharing.
Right. Amazing.
And they cool. Like, might even be female. I'm assuming he's a guy, but like.
No, even the hostel I'm going to in Miami, I met during NFT Miami.
Okay.
So it's like I wouldn't stay at a hostel unless I knew the person. It was somebody I met inside this community. It was like, no, this is dedicated to other artists in the NFT community.
You're gonna be good.
You know what I mean? I was like, then I know I'm gonna be safe.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Especially as like, a female in the scene.
Yeah.
It's like,
Makes sense.
So Kidfolio, I mean, let's see, my kid's 5 now, but he was turning 1, and we live in Brooklyn, and we were like, we'll have some bagels and mimosas and stuff, but like don't bring gifts. We're minimalist, right? Like we don't want any plastic shit in our house. This is like pure greed of like we don't want shit in our house. So we put up like a little website. We use Venmo, PayPal. I put Bitcoin. Send a check. Grandma, you want to send a check? Cool.
Yeah.
And then what is it for? College savings, buying some stocks, Lego sets, you name it. Click, done, out. And it was like, all right. And like, hey guys, don't bring gifts. Use this. Everybody use it.
Wow.
And I was like, thanks for not making me think of like going to the store, what to get, all that. And what I did realize that I did is I set my kid up with his own Bitcoin wallet at the time. I set him up with his little stock account within my stock account, like a folder for him. I set up his bank account, his 520 college savings, which is what you're supposed to do when they're born, but no one ever does.
Right.
And I set up this whole financial infrastructure, and I never thought about this myself. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm 36 at the time. I worked down on Wall Street. I never did this for myself. Right. And I thought of it as like, it's an accessibility play. Like any parent, I'm lucky enough to have like worked in all this, and I still didn't get it. Yeah, and like the parents shouldn't have to know that to enable their children to grow their wealth from a very young age.
Right.
So if we can build an app that makes it do that, and then so Christmas came around, and like people started using it again without even us asking. They're like, "Oh, it's like this living registry." Right? Wow. Living registry. That's clever.
Like that.
That's why I have to talk about it.
So I put some ads on Facebook, like a couple $100 just to see, and like enough people signed. Like I would download this app. It was like what it would look like, and they're like, yes, to download it. Like, all right, cool. We'll let you know when it's out.
Nice.
And that was enough for me to quit my job, raise some money on, and go build the app.
Right.
And that's how I got into the space. Wow. So we built the app, and it's beautiful. And when you mess around with the prototypes, it really like works. And it's like, oh wow, I got a gift. I add a video. The kid says thank you, and it's like this whole little social network.
Yeah. And that's for people like us, because I can't be bothered with the shit,
Oh
man.
my god.
It's
I
for
can't be bothered
everybody.
with all everybody. I'm tired of it. Like, this is simple.
And the
I
kid
got
can
time.
control it later on, right? Like, I'm into Nintendo
Yeah.
right now.
Right.
I want Mario games. Like, okay,
Yeah.
and the parents say, you can get one. Like, it's
Yeah.
you can
That's
get
dope.
really creative with this.
Wow.
But the problem was the financial pipes. Like, you have to connect your bank account, and 529s are different in every state, and you had to pay to connect this, and then you also had to connect your Venmo. And for security reasons, like, they don't just allow you to log in on different
Right.
apps because you could be, for security reasons.
Right.
So it was always a nightmare of a process.
Right.
And then I started messing around with NFTs last summer. I was like, wait a minute.
Mhm.
Let me give my niece an NFT when she's born. And I can airdrop her stock,
Wow.
a movie ticket, a game credit,
Mhm.
anything. That's not all available yet, but like
Yeah.
you can see this future
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
really quick.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But the fact that like you having that NFT
Mhm.
and me being able to contribute to it was exactly what we've been trying to do.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, we just spent a year and a half like banging our heads against the wall trying to do this. And this solved it like in a week.
In a
And
snap,
we
yeah.
did it. We did a prototype. I'm like, okay, we're done.
Wow.
But the world's not on Solana right now.
Yeah.
It's not on crypto. So that's why we had to put it on pause.
Right.
And like
Yeah.
we're building it right now, actually, like in the background, but like we want to have it ready for when here comes everybody.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man.
Yeah.
I need it.
Everyone needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that original. Like as I like went through the years, like I was talking to investors, they'll be like, "Oh yeah," and I remember somebody else tried this, and I looked like same thing. Like everybody kind of hit the same dead end
Yeah.
with it because it just wasn't technically usable,
Right.
and now it is.
Yeah.
And so that's so yeah. It's still something we want to bring to the world, but in the meantime, that's kind of like what made it shift, and then that's how I started the new project. Since I was building on Solana, Reciprocal Ventures, they hosted a co-working day for free in Soho for like anybody building in the ecosystem. So there was like 80 entrepreneurs in there and developers, and like it was, right after COVID, COVID was still kind of going on. It was like one of the first like in real life like that many people at a workspace that I was at. And like magic, man. Like we were chatting. What are you building? Let's work on this together. Oh, you know who? I like friends I made that day. I'm still friends with, and that was like at the end of it. Luke and Mary from Bridge Split. They were they're the ones that hosted. Should we do this again? Should we make it like an NFT access to this? And that's how Empire DAO was created. Where like everyone raised their hand, like, yeah, I'd love to have this kind of thing.
Wow.
And then it got
Look
to
at that coming out.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, one thing we want to focus on, and take your time with this, Mike. Tell us, all I know right now, we're going to start from the beginning, is the building. That's what I call it. Every time I see Mike, I say, what's going on with the building?
Yeah.
But you can take your time with that and explain this amazing thing that's coming.
Sure. So getting back to where we were about this like co-working day, right? So imagine a world where you had a seat and you owned it essentially for the year. You owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an NFT. And in real time, the market prices that day, you're like, I don't want to work on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. You posted it in the morning or the night before. I can sell that space to someone else to work there.
Wow.
Web3 allows that for free. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay any transactions. So you can have a marketplace up and running for you. So you don't want to work 7 days. You're paying. You go to WeWork now, you're paying for 7 days a week.
Yep.
You can, NFT NYC, you might pay for the whole year just for like, during that time. So we can do that right now. Like that's what kind of made this idea of like, all right, let's start this. But then we started getting interest from all kinds of different people in different cities going like, well, you're attracted. So we attracted hundreds of people to this project. They want like, when can I get in? It's every day. When can I get in your place?
Yeah.
I'm outside. I'm like, why didn't you? And the idea of that concept is like, all right, well, what if it applied to something else? Like, what if we also thought about coffee shops, right? Like you think about, or parks where like, New York City does a great job with parks, I think, for the most part, playgrounds.
Yeah.
But a lot of places it's like, public funding, parks,
Yep.
maybe corporations can bail us out kind of thing. Well, let's build an IRL like technology that anybody can roll anything out with. So that's what we're actually building is kind of like Web3 IRL community owned things in person, whether it's a coffee shop, a gym, like give the trainers money, they own it, but also you own it too just by going there. You use the token there. You keep it clean. You make sure things are there because you're not just paying that gym.
Just paying the gym.
You
That's
are
amazing.
You actually own a piece of the gym, and we can do all that.
That's crazy. And what I like about it is the building is amazing. It has 6 different floors. There's a rooftop.
Yeah.
The way you got it set up, the whole setup. So just say erase everything that he said. Just going there with all of those other people, yes, the network that you can do, the collabs of different people, like that's an extra. That's just topping on the cake.
Well, that's our first incubator or laboratory.
Right.
So that's going to be our first spot where we test all these. So we might have a pop-up. I think we'll try to do the gym and do exactly that, or a cater DAO, right? So we're gonna have events, and the caterer, they can own X amount, and the DAO will own Y amount. And it's good that the DAO owns it, because now you got 300 users that are they want the food to be good. They're not just it's just someone working for us. It's something I own by being here, so I'm gonna meme it and you got to talk to whoever makes these sandwiches, whatever it might be. You got that vested interest in the back of your mind,
and it's 24/7.
Yeah, it's gonna be
24/7. You could go in there at 3:00 in the morning. You could go in.
When is this available?
You could go in.
April. I'm pushing.
Imagine that. You just come from the party or whatever you coming from, and it's I don't want to go home. I'm gonna go here and get some shit done and work and do this and do that at 3:00 in the morning.
Crypto doesn't sleep, right?
It's better than we're actually on the wrong time.
Yeah, I agree.
When we're tired, it's on and popping.
It's going down. The funny thing is, you can create your own day, because no, I sleep at day, I go to work at night. For these couple of months, I switch it up. I want to go to sleep at night and go in the morning.
Shit at night.
You got to do shit at night.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's focused. So that is amazing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also going to be a gallery too, right? So I'm part of it's called the Da Vinci DAO, and it's 20 of us, and we all put in some money and we buy art. And we just bought a really dope piece for I think 750 sold, so $70,000. That's the highest piece on Solana that's gone. And it's beautiful. It's a moving image. You need a screen like this to kind of really take it in. And you would see it in the Met or something. It's a beautiful piece. And we're
y'all can't see that. That's my 75-inch television that I bought. I'm just saying that.
I want to put it up there later, though. We should just
definitely.
Definitely curious now.
Yeah, and the point is you're gonna come in, and we want this to be more than just you can go. So the 4 floors of working, cool. But that first floor is going to be event space and also a gallery. So it's going to feel like a museum. It's going to feel like you've been to the Ace Hotel lobby, come in, sit down, put your headphones on, vibe out, chat with some people. And there's going to be beautiful art around. But we want musicians and artists to understand that this could be their world where they can control the art. Because there's a lot of people trapped in New York City, especially out in Bushwick and Williamsburg, working in Midtown, and they're beautiful graphic designers. Working for HBO and Netflix and all this. And it's you could control this. What? I don't mess with that crypto. They just don't get it. It's a cutting out of the middleman. It's being a blogger 15 years ago. You don't have to work for the Times to get your word out anymore. You don't have, and they didn't really figure the model out for those writers, but we have figured it out for the artist.
Right.
And that's incredible.
That's incredible. That's the main part.
Music's coming in hot too.
My God.
That's going to be amazing.
That's going to be amazing. But what are your ideas for the roof? Because when I saw the roof, there's a roof.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have some things up there. That's all I can say. We'll be at the roof.
The roof is on fire.
Everything that everybody was saying sounds great. Barbecue, but I gotta think about our audience, right? So the one thing we didn't cover that I want to cover with you today is, what is an NFT? Because most people don't even know what the hell we're talking about.
Right. Because he's a serial NFT. Tell me what you have. When I met Mike, right? I'm talking to him. We having a conversation. Blah, blah, blah.
Casual.
Yeah, casual conversation. Hey, what kind of NFTs do you have? He said, a couple of Bored Apes.
I didn't know. I
said, what? That was the first thing he said when he came on. He said, I met somebody who has a couple
I said, wait. He said,
picture of my phone.
Right, that's what I said. I said, wait,
You know what?
like, you know,
This whole thing,
right.
this whole thing.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I didn't say this whole thing.
I did, like, because you know the part, and then if y'all don't know, but the part in Paid in Full, the movie,
Yeah.
when he told him, he said, you got a couple of keys right there, and he was like, you got a couple of keys right there? Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what the fuck is going on? That's the old shit, but,
No. I think I was like scrolling through mine. Like, oh, what was that? And I was kind of like, I might have like scrolled past it.
No, he looked at your chain. He was like, "No, that's nice, but."
yeah. You got this thing, he's like, yeah, that's what you
I
said.
definitely said this whole
Yeah, this whole thing right here, and I'm like, oh, stop. I was like, I got 150,000.
What is an NFT, man? I got like
All right,
friends that are
yeah,
watching.
okay.
That want to know what
So
an
you show
NFT
them
is.
that. All right, Mike, can you?
I do have NFTs on 10 different chains. Like there was a time last year, it's Thanksgiving, and I'm in Colorado with my family, and I'm like, I was up till 5 a.m. every night, like not meaning to be, but just because I was like, oh, Terra's gonna pop off. Oh, Tezos is gonna pop off. Like, Avalanche has got some new NFTs going on. So I tried getting like all the maiden like ones early on. And to be fair, like I'm playing with house money, right? Like I bought Bitcoin in 2014. So I was like swapping some of that out. Like to me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm buying a $5,000 JPEG.
Right.
Swapping out some free money that I got.
Yeah.
So to be fair, like it was a little easier for me to go in on these. I will say I bought this, I think it was like 5,000 at the time, and I almost vomited the next day. Like I was like, what am I doing? My kids aren't. I was like sick to my stomach. Like I just spent, like I just threw $5,000 away on this. Like I didn't quite get it at the time. Right? I mean, I think now they're like 25K minimum like for one of these, and it's like, all right, obviously a wise investment in hindsight. And don't get me wrong, I bought a lot of ones that are worth zero. Yeah. I will say, like there's a lot of what they call rug pulls in this industry of like people that walk away from the project. It's kind of like a failed startup, right? Like you invest in it and it's like it just doesn't work. And sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes they're like hype. That's only $200 to buy this NFT, and then
that's it. One thing that I experienced, and not defensive people with rug pulls, but I've experienced a couple of successful launches, and when the money came, the team fought over the money, and that's why it broke apart.
Oh yeah,
I wouldn't call that a rug pull. It collapsed.
The definition of rug pull used to just be like intentional, like all right, let's just get their money and go. And now it's like, oh, it failed. It was a rug pull. It's a slow rug. It's not really like
There's different reasons.
Your phone puts out.
But the great thing about Ugly Ducks is that they're standing in front of their NFT. They're standing in front of it, and we're giving you half of the utilities before you even get there.
Oh yeah, we're not playing.
Yeah, we're not playing.
Podcast, we stand in front of it.
Yeah. A lot of people got scared because they couldn't deliver. That's what it was. They couldn't deliver. But this is a business. It's half art, half business.
No, we're delivering the shit.
It's all community, man. It's all community. It's like the community. And I think it's important the projects that they call docs themselves. So like they're documented. They put their real faces out there. There's a lot that are out there that have never doxed. And they do it for tax reasons and for financial reasons. Like, whoever created the Bored Apes, like they don't want to be like need security guards because now they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Like they can keep living their normal lives and not be, so I don't blame them for doing that.
But they started early when they didn't need to show a face. I feel like now it's become popular to do an NFT launch. So everybody is trying to do it, and then once they make their first little $1 million, they're like, oh, let's just get it and run now. Before
it's gotta be some love for your community and some love for art. Like it can't just be all money, and you just want that.
Yeah.
No, there's always exceptions to all these. I mean, like first of all, I will go into. Like the musicians that have done this, they're like classic rug pullers, like because they're like, oh, cool, we can make $50 million off this NFT project, launch it.
A lot of the rappers.
Yep.
And then the artists who made the art
but they would give it music though. You got your music.
Yeah, but not even music.
A lot of them just were brand ambassadors for rug pulls,
right?
And they didn't deliver. But the thing about that is, it'll be a stain on your brand forever. I'm not willing to stain my brand. We're not willing to stain my brand.
The boxer, what's his name?
Mayweather.
He's like another one.
Khaled,
They just like walk away. It's not like that they're in fault. They think of it like as an advertising campaign. They're like, go in, let's get paid. Cool, if you love art, it's gonna be worth something. No, man, like they need to maintain the community.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most important thing about the NFT community. It's like it is a community. There is like a lot of money that we all share collectively inside of the community, so the community does well.
Right.
You know, so it's like when a big name like that jumps in with their own drop, it is more of a rug pull because they're not in the community. They're in
Right.
the musicians community. They're in that community.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like there is space for them, but you know, like you can't just hire like Post Malone to
Yeah.
own something.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like
You know what's interesting
it looks
part of it?
good, but
What helped us understand it is that hip hop is a culture.
Right.
And when I got into crypto, blockchain, NFTs, I felt like that was a culture.
It's
There's
a
a culture
culture,
to it. Because
right.
nobody used to joke with you because he wanted the money.
Right.
And then I was like, no, it's a culture. You got to understand the culture, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was like, no, wait, you can make that much? Okay, let's do it.
Like,
And that's fine. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
That's what got us all here.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
Go. Let's go. Like,
yeah, me too. Me
Gets
too.
you
Yeah,
into
for
it
sure.
for it. But as we started doing it, I started understanding
Yeah.
it more. So when I started the NFT project, I thought it was just going to be get the art, you do some promotions, and that's
Oh,
it.
yeah.
No.
If you told me what it would take now, if I knew what it took now to do this launch with the ugly ducks, I wouldn't have did it. You know, but we've been through the storm. The worst is over, and now I'm in love with it because I solved all the problems. I didn't even know what a blockchain was when we started.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Sure,
I didn't know
And you should.
That's
Most
true.
people won't in 10
Right.
years. Like,
That's true.
it'll
Right.
be like, what's CSS? And like,
Yeah, like what the hell?
coding language for,
Yeah.
like, you don't need to know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Now we made it through the storm. You know, I got one of the best artists and
Blockchain
I have a great blockchain
Yeah.
developer. We have great marketers. We have a great team. And you know, and now we're doing a podcast. We came a long way.
Yeah.
And now the fun
And
part.
it's
Yeah,
only
and
been-
shout out
it's
to the
only been
Knights,
2
the
months.
Knights Dial, Knights Bridge, because we talking to them too. You know, talking to them,
Yes.
Knights Bridge, a
Shout out
dope
to the
exchange.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, all right, a couple things on that. All right, I want to go back to music in a second, but the incentive, like the financial incentivization, why I think there's nothing wrong with it, why I think
Right.
New York's actually the capital, the confluence of Web3,
Right.
why is we're all going to make it, right? Have you heard that? Wow,
Yeah.
we're all going to make it.
Mhm.
It's we're all going to make it. It's very capitalist and like we're all going to make it, but it's also very communist. We're all going to make it,
Mm.
right? Like the community, like if you're in, you're in. You're one of the,
Right.
like, so it's this weird hybrid model of thoughts of like really taking everyone with you, but also like there's a financial incentive too.
Yeah.
I want like, sure, I love this. I'm not going to sell for $1 million, but I also don't want it to go down.
Right.
So I'm gonna name it and
Right.
get people on it and like
Yeah.
you know make sure our events are fun
Mm-hmm.
and like I personally invest my time in making sure this community is strong
Right.
because there's a little like I don't want to go to zero. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
that's good for the town.
Right.
That's
good
it.
for
And
us.
if shit really did hit the fan, if it really hit the fan, you can still sell it.
Yeah.
If it hits the fan, hey, here, like you know, I got more
We're in a
work.
space. We're in a space now where you can like borrow against it too, right?
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
Right.
a great example, right? This is where a lot of like, normies, when I'm trying to say like, listen, this is just all it is an upgrade of our financial system, right? Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't send letters across, it would be nice, people would appreciate it. Everyone should be writing letters, but we're not writing letters, right? Now we have email, we have text, we can just send them digitally. We're still living in that world financially. We're in the letters
Yeah.
world, and like so. I put up my Boryoku Dragon. I needed 100 souls to get into the Da Vinci DAO to get into it. So I put it up and I borrowed against it and they held it. And if I didn't pay back, like they had my dragon, which was worth. So like whatever. Took me about 30 seconds. I took a little extra out when we get something else. And, I got into the DaVinci, and a week later I like sold some other things,
Mhm.
got mine back, and it was done.
That's it.
I'm in the middle of refi right now.
Right.
6 months.
Mm.
We know what the houses and condos in Brooklyn more or less are. Like it's the same exact thing. We're putting up a piece of property,
Right.
an asset, borrowing against it at a certain rate. It's
Mhm.
taking 6 months of paperwork to go back and forth.
Yeah.
Normally, it don't take that long.
Right.
But the COVID stuff,
Wow.
Yeah,
But-
like refinancing your house.
we're talking 30 seconds.
Mhm.
The same exact transaction taking months.
Yeah.
And all this paperwork is on, and like
Wow.
you can sell the relative value of my Boryoku Dragon. It's not the exact value. It's kind of same with Brooklyn, and like, but like in that zip code, in that area, you can roughly know where it is.
So what happens to the world when those houses are represented as NFTs?
That's going to happen soon. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I want to turn our building into like one of those things, just like there's 29 units there, but like I am the president of my HOA, which by the way is a very good comparison to what a DAO is.
Yeah, you were like almost prepared to
Oh yeah.
make part of it out.
Yeah, it's a shared bank account,
Yeah.
right? We have a treasurer. Are we updating the gym or the lobby? Are we doing the parking lot structure? There's only so many people have parking lot structure. We have this now without doubt. It's like, it's holding an event in New York City. People are like, I live in Singapore. Why am I funding something for somewhere I can't be, right?
Right.
So like this concept is not new. It's just way, way more efficient. Like, so my condo units, it's like, we don't have the email list, who's renting, no one shows up to vote. They use Zelle, and like there's different payment systems. Or we pay $20,000 a year or whatever just for these software systems. Right. I could put this all on chain tomorrow, and it would be free for everybody. We put it in an app, and they can get notified when there's a vote, and they can vote on chain, and we can see who did it, and they can move the money. You do all that right now and remove all that BS in the middle. And so that's kind of like what an NFT is. Like, you already experienced it if you've ever like owned something with someone else.
Yeah.
And like one of the examples, I'm like, I kind of joke and say, like, I've been building DAOs since the 90s. Like in 95, we're doing fantasy football in high school, and we got the newspaper out on Monday mornings, and we're doing our scores because there was no internet score.
Right.
And we all had to put in $20 at the beginning of the year. We had a shared treasury. We had a common theme that we were into, football. We voted on things.
Yeah.
That's a DAO. It's not that new at the same time.
Yeah.
And an NFT, going back to the original question.
Thank you.
It's like that passport. It just proves that you have it. You know what I mean? Like, all right, did you pay your $20? Like, who? In this case, we don't know who did. We don't have to. You don't have to be public about who you are. You can just get it if you bought the NFT and it's your passport.
And
Yeah.
it still is too one of one. It's still one of one, that NFT, when you buy it, when you mint it.
Yeah.
Right? You still can say that. I mean, other people have it, which, provides the same utilities that you have, but it's still one of one. You have that only one.
Well, and that word fungibility, I didn't know what it meant before this, right?
No.
It's like, fungible is like, I can divide it by a million, or I can chop it up. Like, one Bitcoin can be chopped by billions. This can't be. It's non-fungible. I'm like,
I just learned that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not an expert. That's why I love doing these podcasts, because you learn, as you're doing it, you start learning. It's a new space. That's what we said. If you're an expert in January, you can't be an expert in February unless you stay in the know. Because it's moving that fast.
Yeah.
It's moving that fast.
And if someone moved houses, right, and they just changed that NFT, the new person bought the house, they now have that passport.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have to get their email. We don't have to call them, get their bank account. We don't have to get anything.
None of that.
You're already plugged in.
Right.
It's done.
Yeah. So, because
you
know what I love about it? Because everything we do, your credit score is this and that. So you can't get this, you can't get that. This doesn't check your credit score.
No, I have a board 8.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Like, I have a board 8, let me in. Literally, like, board 8, come right in.
And they're starting to do that where, like, in New York City, I think in Brooklyn, there's this restaurant that just opened up where if you own an NFT, maybe depending on how much it costs. No, it's a steakhouse now or something like that. Yeah. You can go in there and eat and use your crypto or your NFT to eat. Like, that's crazy.
No, I mean, there's something called the Maxwell House coming to New York. Shout out to those guys. They're it's basically like in Spain, you have those like your own cupboard, and you can like lock your own liquor and your food in there, and then come in the kitchen. It's a social hangout, and they're just putting that like cupboard and NFT access to it. So it's not a restaurant; it's more of like a lounge. And like again, this isn't new, but yeah. I think these we should be doing this anyway in this country, but like the fact that they're enabling it with NFT again gives like So
like, you're in like a restaurant, you could go into this room with this NFT.
Yeah. I mean, listen. I mean, and I don't want to get too out of hand in terms of like it's really exclusive, right? Like Bored Apes right now, like it's going to cost a lot of money to get there. I don't know if it's. I think. I'm just being frank here. Like that community for me hasn't been that strong. It's more of a speculative thing for me. Like I believe in them, what they're doing, but I have no idea what they're doing.
You heard it here first.
I said on my page on Kins Up Official that the Basie society to me is sus.
Oh no! Whoa!
They're
Cut
sus.
that out.
We're not
Like
cutting
a
it
diss
out.
right
No, I mean, listen. I mean, like, it's not my squad. Like, I've been to events and I'm like, okay, like, put the monkey down.
Man.
That's my squad. Like, we hang out till 6 in the morning.
There you go.
Like,
Monkey
it's-
down.
It's just who you are and like who you
I
are.
didn't say anything. I'm neutral.
There's playgrounds. You know, I take the kids to it. I'm like, say not
And
playground.
I ain't say nothing about Ugly Duck Discord.
It's
That's
the
all I
same
said.
thing.
I said follow the Ugly Duck Discord.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
didn't
said.
say
I said
I
follow
think
the
the
link.
ducks are
Follow the
going
link.
to.
Yeah. So I mean, like, on the ducks.
If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe so you get the
Yeah,
notifications.
that's it.
Yeah, you naturally attract what is meant for you. And if you're meant to be a part of a community, you'll be a part of that community.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's kind of the
Wow.
beauty.
How does she do that? Like,
in that
Yeah.
NFT space.
That's
for
the way
everybody
to
to
put
find
it.
their
That's a
tribe.
great way to put it.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
because
maybe-
personally,
yeah, right.
I was having a hard time finding a community to fit into within the NFT space because I do virtual reality art and I do a little bit more philanthropy on the side. That's kind of like where my heart is.
Yeah.
So a lot of people it's really male dominant. So when you go into spaces and you're talking about your artwork in the community, they're all like, who is this?
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, I'm just here because I like the NFT space. I understand it and I want to be a part of it. So being a part of the Ugly Duck Society has really given me access to show hey, I'm really good at videography. Hey, I'm really good at social media. Hey, I'm really good at being an influencer. Hey, my name is known in a different way.
Yeah, that's
Let
right.
me be a part of this community because
Yeah.
NFTs are amazing.
Yeah.
You've been a big
Yeah.
help.
You stopped too, because you had like 10, 20 more really good. You could have like, I'm really good. I'm really good.
Content creation,
Yeah.
content creation, social media management. You can go on and on.
Yeah, photos, art.
And I've met
Right.
a lot of NFT projects too, so I
Yeah.
understand the different
The things.
dynamics.
The only
and
way
I
to do it is
understand
experience.
finding
Yeah.
people.
Hypnotizing men with her eyes. Don't leave that
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I don't look too
She's
long.
done that. Don't look too
Just
long
take
at
it.
her. Don't forget that.
I got some comments on. All right, real quick. I want to jump back to music or females in the space.
Females.
Which one?
Females in the space. Then we can
Yeah.
segue to all the
Because I
other
was going
stuff.
to ask something about that.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back in time a little bit. And social media days used to only be dudes.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's the core of it, then.
Wow.
Oh,
Just
that's
wait.
crazy.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're ahead of the curve, but like it's it is the geeks building. I remember getting jobs so I got into social media community management before it wasn't a term. Like no one knew what that meant. That wasn't a thing. They were like, "What's that?" Like Obama was a community manager job over here. Like that was the only comparison anyone had. And now it's obviously a mainstream job. But when I got online to Twitter and then I started chatting with I'm a bartender. I grew up in a bar, so I'll talk all day.
Right.
And who was I chatting with? I was chatting with the IT guys.
Right.
Because they were like, oh, this is the internet. This is tech. So they would give Twitter accounts to people who plugged in the computers at their offices, at their corporate jobs, because they were like, we don't understand this. This is a tech job.
Right.
And I would bury them. It's I was a mouth. And mouths weren't on there yet. It was just
yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
And then PR came, and they came in, and PR people were like, "Oh wow, we can use this publicity, we can use it for customer service, we can get the word out." And then suddenly it was the whole world. And right now, the NFT space, it's the people building the things. I'll go to music real quick. Whoever built the radio players back then, the CD players, you don't remember them, right?
Nope.
But they were. That's probably all dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Likely.
I'm not worried about it. I'm
That's
not worried
great.
about it long term.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's easy,
No.
and I know it's you're
Well,
heard it here
I
first.
was maybe just find a way to get into something and dominate and take over.
Yeah, they always find a way.
So
Yeah. You heard it here first on the Ugly Ducks. You heard it from Mike. So let's go back to the music thing because we are heavy into music too.
Yeah.
So you can touch on that too.
yeah.
So I want to say, I don't think it's been great. There's been a few cool music releases and artists getting known out there, but I think it hasn't had its Justin Bieber was discovered on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
Does it?
Mm-hmm.
Who was on
Usher.
TikTok? Cowboy song.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I forgot the
What,
guy's
Jason
name.
Derulo?
No,
Lil
Jay-
Nas.
Lil Nas X.
Oh.
Lil Nas X, right?
Oh,
Discovered on TikTok. We haven't had our audience is just a Web3 music service. It's kind of like Spotify for that. I'm sure there's a few others. We haven't had that breakout artist yet. That's
Yeah.
funded, not just found there, but they're funded because of it.
Right.
And you buy their NFT earlier. Imagine
Yeah.
imagine
Wow.
I bought
We know.
I
Because he's been telling me to do it. So to create that breakout artist for that. He's been saying.
Oh, I got you. Right.
Yeah.
Now let's say I go back to Jay-Z, I go back to Reasonable Doubt, right? Like I'm day one Jay-Z.
Right.
Say that was an NFT back then, and I bought in, and I heard this dude, and I'm like, cool, I'm in. What would I be sitting on right now?
Yeah.
That's true.
And he would have been funded like a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, he did what he did, but
There would have been a lot more money made.
And that's why Multichain Mike is an ugly duck, because he fucks with Jay-Z.
that's right.
I don't know that. I wish you told me that. That's my favorite guy too. So yeah,
I mean, listen,
see that? That's okay, Mike.
I'll go bar for bar with you all day long.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great analogy right there.
Well, and that's what's going to happen, right? Like the musicians are going to get like, instead of selling their CDs on the corner, they're going to get enough people to buy like one song. Like, shoot, that's made $15,000 off one song.
Yeah.
It's enough to let me go, all right, let me do this more.
Right.
So it's freeing artists to do that. And so musicians are going to be, this will be the way.
This will be the way.
Without question, this will be the way for musicians. It hasn't happened yet. There's people out there who are trying to meme it right now.
Right.
It's not there. But
No. What was the stats on Tory Lanez release? What did he do? I forgot what it was.
I don't know. It was
Was it
over.
100 million?
Yeah, it was
Something
over,
like
I know it was
that.
over
He sold-
50 million.
And he
It was
sold
a
it
lot.
for $1,
$100
and he sold out in like maybe an hour or some shit.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
couple
That
of
was
hours.
like
dope.
that.
Yeah.
So there is a way for mainstream to like back into this too and like do some cool stuff. Like I even throw like Nikes out or something like that. Let's just say they were like, all right, we're gonna do this one shoe and 10,000 owners own 40% of it.
Right.
We're still gonna operate. We're still gonna own it. But you guys own X amount of percent of it. You know, those 10,000 people are gonna buy it at a discount rate, get it for their friends and family, show it on their online,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be like, that shoe is gonna be super successful.
Wow.
And that's somebody who's like not new who can back into this. And now you're thinking of like an artist who's mainstream. You can actually go, all right, we're going to do this album, but we're doing it together.
But what you just said about the sneaker, like we have a separate project called Crypto Kicks that we're doing sneakers, but the way we were doing it, where we're making 1,500 at first as a first release, different variations of that sneaker, and we're selling it like that as an NFT. But what you just explained is not that type of procedure. You said they'll buy into that.
You want
one
owners.
sneaker.
You want people memeing your stuff. You want people
Right.
talking about it. You want them buying it before you make it.
Right.
You want them making decisions, voting on them. Things. Yeah, you don't make the shoe. Like the community make the shoe.
Yeah, he sold-
There we go. He broke it down. That's so dope.
He sold 1 million copies in 57 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so dope. You're right. That you want the community making this shit.
Yeah.
Remember what I said about what you call $1 million round? Like let them make the shoe. That's what you came with the custom part.
Yeah,
let
the
them
custom
make
part,
this.
yeah. But what,
Interesting.
There's a couple ways though. So let me just throw out two other projects that like throw that to the side. There's the MFers on Ethereum. I bought one of these little MFers. This guy Satoshi or whoever it is,
Right.
like
Yeah.
it was funny online and like they came out with NFT and I'm like, I'm buying one for the culture. It'll go to zero, whatever. They're worth like 3 right now. And the community's outrageous. It's so much fun. There's no roadmap. There's no plan. They just like come together, but like people want to be an MFer. It's a cool little NFT project. And that goes against everything we're saying. Like, oh, you gotta plan it and all that.
Yeah.
That just popped off.
Yeah.
BYO pills, another one of my favorites. It's these little pills, and I'm like, the blue, yellow, orange pills.
Oh,
I thought it was bring your own pill. For months I thought it was that.
Right.
So it could be. But like I didn't realize this at the time. I just bought some. So I was my first couple weeks in NFTs. I'm like, oh, cool. I like pills. It was you can trip in the metaverse and stuff.
Right.
So I bought a couple of these for like 0.2 ETH or something like that. And then they had a whole roadmap, and I know, like, out of pill, you got these Voyagers, which is characters in this metaverse. And then now that you get this piece of BYO land, they're creating this metaverse, and then you get this little thing that you can fly around in. And all of this, you can stake it and let other people play the game and get paid for using all your characters.
Wow.
So now collectively, each of those are worth like 10 ETH with like all like land, the pill, the Voyager, the craft. And like these guys really thought this out. And like, so they did make the product before they didn't let the community necessarily make. I'm sure like, they got some feedback along the way.
Right.
But like that's Disney level stuff right there, right? Like
Yeah.
that's like
Yeah.
a full on.
Wow.
So I don't think there's a way of doing any of this.
Right.
Yeah.
For real. For real. That's why I said, like, if you gonna do an NFT project, I might say don't do it. You know, because this, I didn't know it was going to be.
Yeah, this is madness.
This
We're
is
mad.
madness.
We're
Don't do it unless you
crazy
do it.
people.
Yeah,
Like
unless you
what
do
we're
it
doing,
ugly
this
duck
is
way.
Right,
insane.
but
Like
What's that?
I've been like I haven't stopped. Like I've been pregnant throughout this whole thing, right?
Mhm.
And had a baby. Like I haven't sat down not once yet. You know, since like
since we
I was
started,
in the bed in the hospital about to give birth on a freaking Zoom
put it
call.
out there.
like
I had to give it a computer. It was
on a
important.
Zoom
Mike.
call.
It was important.
Like, hey, I'm like, I pushing this baby out
It was important, Mike. It was important. I had to do it.
So
I had to do it.
This is crazy,
Yeah,
you know.
she was in labor and I was carrying like this. Like, yeah. So what? Show me the artwork now.
Right.
I was sitting there, it was just flying,
I'm
like,
here
you okay? I was like, hold on. Like,
going
yeah,
through contractions. He's like,
Yeah,
all right,
yeah.
let me see the speakers. Oh, wow.
shit.
Like,
Like,
I'm like, bro, like your daughter's not about to come right now. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, but I couldn't see us not doing this. You know,
Yeah.
like this is
But-
something that.
and that's the thing
Having
about it.
contractions while she's filming the part.
Oh yeah,
Right. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
While
that
she was
was-
filming the
that
last
was the day
episode
that I had to
4.
go into the hospital
Yeah.
because
I went to the
second
Crypto Monday.
podcast.
No, you couldn't
Called
go.
me and
You had
said-
to, yeah.
She called me as soon as I got to say, I'm going to labor. I said, you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah, I think this is
Yeah.
it.
Let's go.
I think you gotta come back.
No, the only way to do this stuff is to do it, right? And you guys are
That's
doing
what I
it.
heard,
You
Yeah.
know, and
It's,
you can't
you know,
be scared.
it's sad. Like it's like a sickness. That's the sad part. It's like you're on drugs.
No,
Because
you
they
guys
gotta
made me
get-
FOMO into Meta Club.
Oh fuck.
But that's what got
That's
us
what
into
it's
this
fucking
moment here, though. That's what made us realize, like,
Yeah.
F other people's
Right.
NFTs. No offense to
Yeah.
anybody's
Because he
other
wouldn't,
launch.
right? Because Mike wouldn't know what he knows if he didn't start off buying
Right.
the
You have to
NFTs.
Right.
experience.
Exactly.
So
You have to
he
get
has
knowledge.
a different knowledge of it. So we got our knowledge from buying it, getting ripped off.
Yep.
That's where the knowledge comes
Yeah.
from. So
Yeah.
I'm glad. Let's go
But your
utilities.
guys' history too, you have had a lot of successful NFT investments. Like you do really understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. That's true.
So
We
that's
did.
what gave
We
us
got
the
some
good ones
confidence.
there, Bunny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can sell that now for something. Yeah, we got some good ones. We
I
got
don't know
some
how
good
to
ones.
sell.
I got a couple of boats.
Yeah.
I've heard everything I've ever sold.
I like holding them too.
Yeah,
Everything I've
it's
ever
not
saw.
selling
Like-
that much.
Wait, you said you don't know how to?
I don't know how. I mean, I'm good at it because I'm just like, I don't want to. And after I did, I'm like,
No, I'm saying, you know what it is? I hate to see people in crisis. Do you want some help?
Yeah.
Like, I'll help you sell it. I'll sell
No,
it for
I,
you.
and mine was like more for like getting my ape, right? Like I had to like sell some things to get to it. Like I was talking about free money earlier. I didn't have like that much.
Yeah.
They were low, but like I had to sell things to get it. And I was like,
Yeah.
and I
that's
still,
the hard
and I
part.
still
That was the
am
hard
glad
part.
I did it, but at the same
Well, we
time,
gotta
I
see
missed
this
my.
stuff. Mike, can we show the people the board ape, the
It's
mutated?
not a mutiny,
Mutated board
Yo,
ape.
did you get the
Check
drop?
that,
Did you end
man.
up getting
Hold
some of
on.
those coins drop? Let's talk about it.
Oh, this whole thing?
Oh, you know what happened? Oh, see,
He got
that's
some-
what I'm talking about. The drop and stuff.
Yeah, he got
They
the
just did some drops, Mike. What about that? Did you get
drop?
Did they?
He got the drop. He got that drop.
That's amazing. I got
What was
some
that
coin.
drop? No, we had the board ape. That was, I think it was
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
You got a couple.
I sold a bit.
Yeah.
So a bit like, oh shit, that's it. See that?
Got some
Right here,
brothers.
live on Ugly Duck Society podcast. We about to show y'all mutated board ape.
It's not. I mean, you know. I mean.
How do we put it on the screen?
It's real casual.
Yeah.
It's real casual.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, he's got a cowboy hat. I like the big grin. I forget who. One of the basketball players had like on the
Mutated
shoe.
board ape. Show it to the
It's
screen.
almost like they know
That's a mutated
that
board
this is
ape, y'all.
multi-chain having this.
Like I
And
like,
the drops
I like
came.
those heart glasses. You know what I mean? Like I vibed with this. I paid a little extra for him. Like at the time, it wasn't like. But I'm like, oh, nice
Woo!
clean cowboy hat. Like I'll rock a flannel once in a
Yeah.
while. You know, I lived in Colorado for a bit, and I vibed with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
yeah.
didn't mint that.
No, I'm not.
You
a
bought it
G.
off for the second.
Yeah.
Secondary market.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mess with
What
mints.
do you use?
I mean, for Ethereum, OpenSea, usually.
That's what they
Rarible
have on there.
is on there, and then Magic Eden is my go-to on Solana. Nowhere Art for Terra. I mean, like you know, there's all different ones for yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't mint though anymore. I'll mint my squads if they're like, hey, I got something coming out,
Did you
and I
start?
know them.
Right.
Like, if I knew about you
So
guys
did
when
you-
you're mint, I would mint that.
Did you get rid of some of the discords on your phone?
No, I got a problem. I got no.
I said, remember how we first started and we had all of the, we was in all of
Oh,
the
my
discords?
God.
It's too crazy. It's
Yo,
too much.
My
man.
thing goes down like this. It's like What do you have to do? You know how to do it, right?
Yeah, you just go to the menu,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
scroll
There's
down,
a leave button,
press
yeah.
the leave server.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
I became an
That's why
expert.
I became an expert. Let's get out of this Discord.
I gotta leave this Discord.
Yeah,
Because
especially
they hypnotize you in it too.
when it's
They
moving
do.
too fast for you to reply.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I can't even
those
reply
are
to
the
you.
busy
Come on.
ones. Yeah, if you can't get in early, you won't know nothing.
Those are the
Yeah.
bot attacks.
So I will say, like, if you're thinking about getting into an NFT project out there, like, you can, for all of them, they do have public spots on the Discord server that you can go in and ask questions, hang out for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them do like Twitter Spaces, town halls, where they talk about what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like going to a company and sit in the boardroom and listening to what they're planning and chat with people. Like, you're going to the space. Like, do that for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You go, I'm into
Yeah.
this.
Mhm.
Don't FOMO into something, man.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
If someone's hyping it on Twitter, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's good news for us.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
lucky ducks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, you want it to grow organically, right? Like, there's
Yeah.
ones that like get like 10,000 in, and they're whitelisted and all that. Like, I don't know what you guys did in terms of promotions.
Yeah.
You want to slow. I think the best ones go slowly at first.
See?
Mhm.
Slow and strong. So
Yeah, like reasonable doubt. Like reasonable doubt.
Yeah, reasonable doubt was not reasonable doubt till
Till,
like
5,
till
6,
like
8,
the
10 years
blueprint.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
10 years later.
yeah, yeah.
Yo, fellas, we've been on for an hour.
We have?
Yeah, it was that much
Oh,
fun.
wow.
It's
Wow,
that much fun.
that's the
Yeah,
longest
yeah.
show we've done with
6:56.
Multichain Mike.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's crazy. So we're going to end it off. Mike, is there any last things you want to say?
Any questions you got for me?
Any questions, anybody?
Any personal questions? No,
Yeah.
no, that's it. I mean, like, I would just say go out there and tinker, and like, you have to mess around with the stuff to understand it. You're gonna get rugged a little bit, and if you do end up with something nice, definitely get a hardware wallet. Y'all have hardware
How
wallets?
do you
Yeah.
get
Yes. Ledger.
Yeah.
A ledger. We have
Yeah,
Nano X, Nano S.
yeah. Just Google them, YouTube. You can get the videos on how to set them up and everything. Hard wallet. Yeah,
Hard wallet.
Ledger is a common one. Nano's another one. There's the Grid Plus if you're like, it's like an iPhone almost that you can like touch instead of these little buttons. But
That's dope.
the point of that is like, if you do something stupid, which I've done something stupid, where like someone empties your wallet, you click on something and it's like the UI, the website's like, oh, would you like to send $2 to this? And you're like, oh, cool. But that's just like the front end. It's actually all your money and all your NFTs, and you click that and whoosh, you just sent everything out, and people send their apes out
No.
on a weekly basis. You see it
Ooh, that's crazy.
all the time. People fall
Wow.
for the stuff, and like
Mm-mm.
I've fallen for it, and like it's easy,
Damn.
like, because you're just like doing something else. Like, oh, let me just download this ape coin real quick, and it's some fake ape coin. It's just clearing your wallet.
Mm.
There were tons
That
of those
sounds
ape coin
painful.
like fake Twitter accounts, spelled 2 P's and 2
Yeah, yeah.
N's at the end, and being like, oh, here's the link.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
claim your ape
Man,
coin
you know how
now.
many times they try to catch us
I
with
know.
that
That's
on
crazy,
Instagram
man.
so
Yeah.
far,
The
yeah.
scams in this shit is
It's tough, man. It's tough to get like normies on. Like, oh yeah, check this out. And I'm like, my brother came on, and like he got the rug pulled like right away.
Fuck.
There's like a fake app on the Google Play Store
That's
that
a
was
time.
whatever.
You gotta
It's not
get
regulated.
into this
Yeah.
stuff.
There's a fake Phantom app.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's true.
That's crazy.
So be careful out there. Not
Be careful,
all the
guys.
negativity there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Was a real cool. But so anyway, what's going on in the news today? We're gonna end it off with this. Is Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. What do you think? What happened, man? What's going on here? Mike, do you think that's real or fake? What happened there, Mike?
Oh, come on, I don't know, man. I thought it was real. I mean, it looked like real passion and like,
That was
dude.
real.
I mean, in most settings, that's kind of what would happen. You know what I mean?
But live on stage,
Live on
with
stage
the
is bold.
Oscars?
It's just
That's
it's,
like,
it's disappointing to see, you know, my boy from Philly go that way. You know what I mean?
I know, right?
damn.
To be honest, though, you know, we're from Philly. Man. Don't fuck
But it's kind of
Right,
like
right.
it's kind of like,
Wow.
you know, I feel like when he did that, why did you think that couldn't happen? You know, that's
Yeah.
what I see it as.
Mhm.
Like, why do you think that was not gonna happen?
Meaning Chris Rock. Why do you think
Yeah,
that couldn't
yeah,
happen?
you know, I feel like Chris Rock showed
I think because it's
showed
Will
his
Smith.
script. Hold on,
Yeah.
I think Chris Rock showed his script to the producer, right? He said, "Look, I'm gonna say this is my script." The guy said, You sure you're gonna say that? You sure?" And then the producer went to the cameraman and said, "Don't lose your job tonight. Keep your camera on Will Smith because Chris Rock is saying this."
Mhm.
And I think because the cameraman was on point,
Yep.
he was like, "Whoop!" He went right to Will Smith and then caught the whole thing with Chris Rock. And I think that it was like, what did you think? What was gonna happen?
Damn.
What do you think, Mary?
Like you thought because they were separated or something? Like no, don't.
I
mess with
thought that
family.
I really like Will Smith, and I thought that it made me like him more, honestly.
Mm.
I was like, thinking that for his wife, he needs more men like that. So really be like, you don't talk about my wife like that.
There you go.
Right there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So now you know what's gonna happen. You do it to me, I'm gonna slap you right there in the Oscars.
That's inappropriate. I don't care where we are, what setting we're in. If you're disrespecting me and my family,
I'm slapping you at Crypto Monday. I'm slapping you at the NFT week in Miami. I'm slapping you.
Yes, no matter. And like, Will Smith, like,
because Chris Rock will sue him or whatever's gonna happen.
And like,
it's worth
not
it.
his concern.
Yeah.
He's like,
He don't care. He can afford a couple million for a good
He did try
slap.
to apologize, I guess, right?
My prediction is they'll be on screen together in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I like
Hugging
when you
it
said
out.
that. I like when you said that.
Probably.
And
And I hope that they make up.
try
I hope that they both
Yeah.
find, like, hey, I understand, like, they find each other along the way.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's like Will Smith is.
But what does Chris
Wow.
Rock do that he got slapped? Can he still go on stage and be a comedian?
Yeah, because he's a comedian. He got
He's gonna joke it out.
You know, he's like a fabulous comedian.
He is.
He's
They
like
gotta make that
incredible.
interaction like memorable.
Yeah.
I think it will be.
He said-
I
he
think
said,
it'll
"Wow,
make
that
it
was
funny. I
really
think it'll make it
Yeah.
like.
I mean, his career is not founded on being tough, like having
Right,
street
that's
cred
true.
or anything.
Right. Neither was Will Smith.
But Will Smith was an action hero, so he gave him an action pack.
He really did.
You know,
That shit
it was
was-
like you
it
saw the
looks
form of it, like jakata.
Y'all
Nice.
were around the 90s, and I can tell that. You know, Will Smith was, he was the dude that in Fresh Prince, man.
Right, he was. He was.
That was fun. I mean,
Yeah.
flies me out fun. I can talk for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
great.
man.
That was the
People
Ugly
tuning
Duck
in.
Society
Oh, man,
podcast.
give me an ugly duck.
Yep. He's been Multichain, Mike. You heard it. You heard it. He's giving the ugly duck. We're gonna hold him to it.
Yeah, he said he's getting a couple of ducks. You know, he doesn't want to mess
Yeah,
up.
'cause I'm not gonna get 3. I'm getting 3. So
Three.
So he can
Ducks.
sell two. And
I'm
keep
never
one.
selling.
Right.
There we
I'm never
go.
selling my duck.